All right. Want to talk about a career as a meat and meat products specialized seller?
Sounds pretty niche.
It is. We've got this whole stack of info here from RoleCatcher.com. And let me tell you, this is more than just your average butcher gig.
Yeah. In what way?
It's like, think about it this way. It's Saturday morning, you're at your local farmer's market, and there's a line down the block for this one stall.
Okay, I'm with you.
And everyone's waiting to chat with the person behind the counter who seems to know everything about every cut of meat imaginable. That's the kind of pull a meat and meat products specialized seller can have.
So it's about more than just like knowing the cuts. It's
Yeah.
about that expertise people are looking for.
Exactly. And what's so interesting is that this role blends those traditional skills with like these modern demands. You're not just a butcher, right? You're like a consultant, a salesperson, and increasingly you got to be a bit of a techie too.
Techie. Okay, now that's intriguing. I mean, beyond using a digital scale.
Right. How does technology play into this?
Think about the rise of online ordering. Like,
Mhm.
customers might be browsing different cuts of meat online and need guidance.
On selecting the right one for their recipe or...
Yeah, exactly. Or consider the growing interest in ethically sourced meat.
Oh yeah, that's huge now.
A meat and meat products specialized seller really needs to be knowledgeable about different farming practices,
Mm.
certifications, and be able to, speak to that growing consumer awareness.
So it's about really understanding the nuances of the product and the market,
Yeah.
being able to communicate that effectively to these customers who are more informed than ever.
Precisely. It's about being a resource, an expert they can trust. And as technology keeps evolving, even in the meat industry,
With things
with things like 3D printed meat emerging,
3D printed meat. Now that's something I'd want to ask an expert about.
a specialized seller needs to be adaptable and stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, so we're talking about a deep understanding of meat, strong communication skills, and an eye on evolving trends. What else does this role catcher guide highlight?
Well, it outlines a clear career progression, which I think is really helpful for anyone looking to enter this field, or even those wanting to move up the ranks.
All right, let's break down this meat ladder, shall we? What are the different stages someone might go through in this career?
They start with entry level, which is all about learning the ropes,
Okay.
assisting senior sellers, mastering basic cuts, understanding different grades of meat. Think of it like an apprenticeship, where you're gaining that essential hands-on experience.
Right, like learning the difference between like a prime rib and a choice cut,
Right.
or how to properly tie a roast.
Yeah, the kind of stuff you can't learn from a textbook.
Exactly.
Then you move up to the junior level, where you're taking on more responsibility, you're cutting and packaging independently,
Mm.
advising customers on different cuts and cooking methods, maybe even training newcomers.
So you become the go-to person for customers who need help deciding between like a flank steak for fajitas or a skirt steak for carne asada.
Exactly.
You're building your expertise and your customer service skills simultaneously.
Absolutely. And finally, you reach the senior level. This is where that specialized aspect really shines. You might be managing the entire meat section, developing marketing strategies, negotiating with suppliers, even staying updated on industry trends to make sure your inventory is top-notch.
Wow, so you're not just a butcher, you're a manager, a marketer, a trend spotter, the whole package. This is sounding less like a job and more like a career path with serious growth potential.
It is. And that's something RoleCatcher emphasizes, the high demand for these specialized skills, which often translates into job security and potentially high earnings.
That's good to hear, especially in today's job market where, like, security can be hard to come by. But let's be real, it's not all prime cuts and porterhouse steaks, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges someone might face in this line of work?
Well, they're upfront about the physical demands, right? Yeah.
It's not a desk job. You're on your feet for long hours. There's heavy lifting involved. You're working with sharp tools,
Yeah.
potentially cold environment.
Right. So you need a certain level of like physical stamina and comfort with that kind of environment.
Yeah,
It's not for the faint of heart.
right. And they also mentioned the potential for like irregular hours.
Oh, yeah. That's true for a lot of these.
Butcher shops and meat markets often have to accommodate customer needs,
Right.
which might mean working evenings, weekends, maybe even some holidays.
So flexibility is key.
Yeah.
You got to be okay with a schedule that might not fit that like typical 9 to 5 mold. Exactly. But, for someone who values independence, enjoys interacting with people, thrives in that kind of fast-paced, hands-on environment, those downsides might be outweighed by by the rewards.
It's all about finding the right fit,
Yeah.
knowing your own strengths and preferences. But let's say someone is listening to this and they're thinking, okay, this sounds like, this sounds like me, this sounds like the career for me, but how do I actually break into this field?
Right.
What kind of advice does RoleCatcher offer?
Well, that's where their interview prep resources come in.
Yeah.
They've got this whole section dedicated to like acing that job interview, starting with like a list of common questions you might encounter.
Oh, like a cheat sheet for like impressing potential employers. Okay, give us the inside scoop. What kind of questions are we talking about?
Well, some are pretty standard, like, why are you interested in this field?
Sure.
Or tell us about your experience handling different types of meat. But they also have, like, some scenario-based questions.
Oh, interesting.
Like, how would you advise a customer who's unsure what to buy for a large family gathering?
Okay, yeah.
Or what would you do if you noticed a colleague wasn't following, like, proper safety procedures?
So it's not just about, like, knowing your ribeye from your strip steak. It's about demonstrating those problem-solving skills, customer service savvy, a commitment to safety.
Exactly. And this is where I think RoleCatcher's approach is really smart, right? They don't just throw these questions at you. They provide guidance on, like, how to craft compelling answers. They even have this AI-powered tool that lets you practice your responses
What?
and get feedback on your delivery.
Whoa, an AI interview coach. That's taking prep to a whole other level.
Yeah, it is. And it speaks to the way that technology is changing how we approach, job hunting. It's not just about submitting your resume and hoping for the best anymore, right?
Right.
It's about leveraging these tools to put your best foot forward.
I like that. It's about empowering job seekers to take control of the process. But speaking of resumes, RoleCatcher also offers, like, help with that, right?
Absolutely. They've got resources for building a strong resume and cover letter. Tailoring your application to specific job descriptions, even like identifying keywords that will help you stand out in those like applicant tracking systems.
So they're not just focused on like the interview itself, they're thinking about the entire job search process from like start to finish.
Exactly, yeah. It's about providing a comprehensive toolkit for job seekers regardless of where they are in their career journey.
That's fantastic. Now, going back to the specific skills needed for this role, you mentioned earlier that like a meat products specialized seller needs to be like a bit of a techie. Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. I mean, think about the role technology plays in, like inventory management, for example. Many butcher shops and meat markets are using like sophisticated software now to track stock levels, monitor expiration dates, and even analyze sales trends.
So it's not just about knowing how to break down a side of beef, right? It's about understanding how to use technology to like optimize efficiency, reduce waste.
Exactly. And as the industry continues to evolve with things like online ordering and delivery becoming more prevalent, a certain level of tech savviness is becoming increasingly important.
That makes sense. It's about adapting to the changing landscape and embracing these new tools that can like enhance that customer experience.
It is. And that adaptability is something that RoleCatcher emphasizes throughout their guide.
It's interesting, though, because while technology is undoubtedly, like, changing the game, there's still something to be said for the human element in a field like this.
Well, absolutely. Like that connection you build with customers.
Yeah.
The ability to, guide them through different cuts, offer cooking advice, share your passion for the product. That's something technology can't replicate.
It's that human element, right, that elevates it from just a transaction to an experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something, I think gets lost sometimes in the conversation about like automation and the future of work.
Totally.
We tend to focus on what technology can do, but we forget about the things it can't do.
Right.
Like replicate genuine human interaction.
Which is ultimately what makes a career like this so appealing, right? It's not just about the technical skills, it's about like the artistry, the connection, the passion for the craft.
Precisely. And that's something RoleCatcher really emphasizes, this idea that like even in a world that's increasingly driven by technology, there's enduring value in those like uniquely human skills.
It's encouraging actually for anyone who might be feeling a little apprehensive about like, the future of work.
It is.
Yeah.
Because like regardless of how much technology advances, there will always be a demand for those who can like bridge the gap between the digital and the tangible, the automated and the artisanal.
And in a field like this where you've got like tradition meets innovation, that ability to like bridge that gap
Yeah,
is only going to become more valuable.
absolutely. So to anyone listening,
Mm-hmm.
who's drawn to the idea of like working with their hands, building relationships with customers, becoming like a true expert in their field,
Yeah.
this might be the career path for you.
It's about finding that like sweet spot where your passion like meets a real world demand.
Yeah.
And based on everything we've like learned from RoleCatcher, it seems like that demand for skilled meat and meat product specialized sellers,
Mm-hmm.
it's only going to grow.
I agree. And the best part is the skills you develop in this field, customer service, problem solving, adaptability,
Hmm.
those are transferable to countless other industries as well.
It's a win-win. You get to pursue a career that you're like passionate about and you're building these valuable skills along the way.
Exactly. So don't be afraid to like dive in, explore your options, see where this path might lead you.
And remember, RoleCatcher is a great resource for anyone looking to explore this career path further.
Absolutely. Their platform is packed with like valuable insights, tips, and tools that can really help you navigate that whole job search process
Mm-hmm.
and launch a successful career as a meat and meat products specialized seller.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of meat and like, the evolving job market. We've covered a lot of ground today from, the specific skills and knowledge required to the broader trends that are like shaping the future of work.
We've seen how technology is changing the game, but also how like the human touch remains as vital as ever.
To our listeners, whether you're a seasoned foodie or just starting to explore your career options, we hope this deep dive has given you plenty to chew on.
Keep asking questions, keep learning, and remember the most rewarding careers are often those that combine passion with expertise.
And on that note, we'll bid you farewell. Until next time, happy job hunting.